Talking Films Online was founded by Professor Nikhila from FLU Hyderabad and me on June 2nd, 2020 during the lockdown. We have been able to sustain ourselves. We meet every Saturday at 9 p.m. via Zoom, thanks to people like you who are interested enough to watch the pre-decided film in your time and space and then join us to discuss it on Zoom. We have also held film festivals, and every June to celebrate our anniversary, we hold a short film contest, and we will be doing so this time as well. Today, we will be discussing Jayan Cherian's KA Bodyscapes, and this film was suggested to us by Sooraj Kudavattur. Sooraj is a research scholar in the Department of Humanistic Studies, Indian Institute of Technology, Varanasi. He's currently working on masculinities in contemporary Kerala for his doctoral thesis, and his research interests include gender studies, film studies, and regional Indian literatures. He has published research articles in journals including Visual Anthropology and Caesure, Poetics of Cultural Translation. He has also presented research papers in conferences organized by the European Association for South Asian Studies, Indian Association for Women Studies, and the University of Kerala, amongst others. We are delighted to let you know that the director of KA Bodyscapes, Jayan Cherian, has joined us for the discussion today. Jayan was born in Kerala, graduated with honors from Hunter College, BA in Film and Creative Writing, and Master of Fine Arts from the City College of New York in Filmmaking. His films have been screened at Berlin International Film Festival, Durban International Film Festival, BFI London, Lesbian Gay Film Festival, Nara International Film Festival, Rio de Janeiro International Film Festival, Kolkata International Film Festival, Montreal World Film Festival, and many other major festivals around the globe, and he has also won several awards. His critically acclaimed feature debut, Papilio Buddha, which incidentally we had discussed last year on TFO. The discussion was initiated by Brinda Bose. We are also grateful to Brinda for introducing us to Jayan. So Papilio Buddha won the Kerala State Film Special Jury Award for Best Direction, Kerala Film Critics Association Award for Best Debut Director, and Feature Narrative Award at Athens International Film Plus Video Festival. The Shape of the Shapeless has also won several awards. Jayan's filmography includes KA Bodyscapes, Papilio Buddha, Shape of the Shapeless, Love in the Time of Foreclosure, and several other films. Jayan has published 4 collections of poetry in Malayalam. And thank you, Jayan, for agreeing to join us today for the discussion. We welcome both Sooraj and Jayan. Over to you, Sooraj.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you, Dr. Geeta and Professor Nikhila for inviting me to this discussion on KA Bodyscapes. I'm also glad that the director of the film, Jayan Cherian, is also part of this discussion. I'm sure his intervention would definitely contribute, immensely towards the discussion. So, the work which I'm going to present today is part of a work in progress research paper that I have written along with Dr. Kavya Krishna, my thesis supervisor in IIT BHU. So basically, we are looking at the history of male homosexuality in Malayalam films. So in our study, we give a considerable focus on the film KA BODYSCAPES for several reasons. So before going to the detailed discussion of the film KA BODYSCAPES, it is also important that we have to give a brief introduction to the shift in certain shift in the queer politics in Kerala in the last decade, as well as certain shifts within the film industry in the last decade. I will make a very brief introduction to that before moving to a detailed discussion on KA BODYSCAPES. As you all know, the last decade has have had a significant shift in queer regimes in Kerala. So one of the influential of this would be definitely the decriminalization of homosexuality in 2018. The last decade also has witnessed the starting of many queer organizations, including Queerella, Queer Rhythm, and also Malayali Transmen Associations, Gay Malayali Association, and so on. And Kerala has also has been witnessing the Queer Pride March since 2010. So if you take into the queer regimes of Kerala in the last decade, we can see an active involvement of many queer communities, including the most importantly, the transgender community, which is one of the most visible community in the group. However, the involvement of the gay or lesbian groups are still limited in Kerala. So so along with this, shifts within the queer regime. So this is a very brief introduction, I know, but still I have to be very brief because we have to move into the detailed discussion of the film. So along with this shift in the queer regimes in Kerala, we have also witnessed a series of shifts within the Malayalam film industry with regard to the representation of queers. So my specific focus will be on the representation of pure masculinity, so pure men within the film. So in Malayalam film, the representation of male homosexuality, it can be traced much earlier, even during the 1980s. The first representation would be in Innalengil Nale and Yatra, which is released in 1982 and 1985, respectively. After that, the representation of male homosexuality has been always limited. There are studies by academicians like Muralidharan Tarail on he studied actually the homoeroticism on the straight films in Malayalam. So, but since 2010, we can see a larger, especially with the arrival of the so-called new generation films in Malayalam. So we have witnessed a larger representation of male homosexuality in Malayalam films. The number is still limited, but we have witnessed a larger representation of representation of male homosexuality in the last decade. The one of the earliest representation would be in Ritu in 2009. It is a Shyama Prasad's film. There is also English, The Autumn in London, Sophie Paranyakada, My Life Partner. There are a couple of films in this decade which actually have represented male homosexuality. But one of the most important would in this category would be the Mumbai Police or Muthon, because two major stars have been part of these films. Prithviraj Sukumaran and Nivin Pauly, one of the two major stars, acted as gay men in these two films. In that way, it is significant. What we have observed out of these films is the way it is represented, the way the gay men or male homosexuals are represented. We observe that the most of the representation in these films are, there are certain stereotypical representation in these films. For example, in Mumbai Police, we can see the Anthony Moses played by Prithviraj Subramanian is a very toxically masculine, cruel character who is very, rough towards the women and children and so on. So basically, what I'm trying to argue is that most of these films in they're representing male homosexuality has been historically limited to certain stereotypical representations. They are represented as problematic, toxically masculine, tough figures, not treating women, children, and subaltern men well. In some cases, they are also represented as effeminate in a way that is invoked to invoke it in a way that is used to invoke laughter. So, in this larger context of representation of male homosexuality in Malayalam film, that we have to examine the film like Ka Bodyscapes. So, we argue that the Ka Bodyscapes has brought to the forefront hitherto unexplored visual dynamics of gay male body and homoeroticism on screen. So, by representing the visual dynamics of the male body as well as by politicizing the gay sexuality, Ka Bodyscapes has made a major landmark in Malayalam cinema. In that way, it disturbed the heterosexual dynamics of the Malayalam film industry considerably. So the film basically represents the relation between two men that two from different communities. One is Haris, a Muslim painter, and Vishnu, a village kabaddi player and a Hindutva supporter. One of the most significant features of Ka Bodyscapes is the representation of homosexuality at the intersection of religion and heteropatriarchy. So, as many of you know, the film did not have an HC release in India. Our director, the director of the film, is very well here. I think he can explain much more about that. Though the film was released outside in India in 2016, it could release in India only in 2018 because of the repeated denial of certification by the Central Board of Film Certification. In fact, I could go through one of those letters given by the CBFC denying the film the film certification of Ka Bodyscapes. So why it is denied? They say it is glorifying gay homosexual relationship.
Sorry, Sooraj, to interrupt. You wanted to make. You had a PPT, right? So I could ask Madhurima to enable screen share if you would like that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I needed a little later one. You can enable to me, that would be good. I will do.
Okay. Madhurima, can you just enable screen share, please?
Yes, but can you tell me how to enable?
There is that, in that screen share, there's a little arrow. If you click on that, it says enable for all.
Yeah, multiple screen participants.
Okay.
So you just need to enable for multiple participants.
Yes, I have done it. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you. You can carry on, Sooraj.
Okay. So basically, CBFC has denied the certification on Ka Bodyscapes. They have detailed several reasons for it. One is the glorifying the gay homosexual relationship, representing nudity, focusing on vital male parts, especially through paintings in close shots. One another reason is the representation of religion Hindu in a derogatory manner. Especially one of those most controversial would be the representation of Lord Hanuman. So they say that is represented in a very derogatory manner in poor light. So they also say the reason that there is a derogatory remark against women. Abusive language is used in most places, and female Muslim character is shown masturbating. So these are a couple of reasons based on which the CBFC has denied the certification of KA Bodyscapes. So after a long battle that with CBFC, long legal battle that the film has released in Kerala, and even after release, it had faced the wrath of the conservative circles in Kerala. So what we argue is that this problem that the KA Bodyscapes or the censoring issue that KA Bodyscape faced is part of what Nandana Bose calls as a censor wave. So CBSE intervention actually shows the ruling Hindu nationalist fear of sex and sexuality as threatening the very existence of nation and its culture. So even some of the films in the previous decades have also faced the same issues, like Meera Deepa Mehta's Fire or Meera Nair's Kama Sutra. So KA Bodyscapes is basically showing the defeated denial of certification of the film shows the ruling Hindu nationalist groups' fear of representation of sex and sexuality within the film narrative. So finally, the film was released in 2018 with several visuals being removed. And as I said, it many of the conservative circles in Kerala. So now I'm moving into a detailed discussion on the film. So I was telling you some time back, one of the most important aspects of KA Bodyscapes would be the representation of or the politicization of the male aesthetics. So actually, if you trace the history of the representation of homosexuality in Malayalam, we can see the lesbianism was represented, much earlier, especially through a film like Sancharam in 2004. But a film completely solely focusing on male homosexuality took at least 10 or 15 years more. So basically, it is also because of the preoccupation of Malayalam film industries with female sexuality. We can hear the argument of Laura Malby that the pleasure in looking has been split between the active male and passive female. So this obsession with the or the preoccupation with the female sexuality has been a feature in Malayalam films. So that could have been a reason for took long time for the film that is completely homosexual to be released. So KA Bodyscapes is an important landmark in the history of Malayalam cinema, wherein the male body is reconfigured to an erotic spectacle. So by visualizing the male aesthetics, the film has made a significant influence in or a significant landmark in the history of Malayalam cinema. So now I would share a screen where I'll be showing you some of the still images from the film. I hope you can see the photos or the PPT.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So how male aesthetics is dealt with in the film? As you can see, starting from the film poster, you can see the title is accompanied by an icon consisting of the Malayalam letter KA. So when that is placed in a manner that resembled the sketch of a male genitalia. So that is when the film poster itself is very much important in this respect. So the film is titled after the Egyptian myth of Ka. Ka is an essential spiritual vehicle according to Egyptian mythology. It describes the body aura, which is the vital spark of the body. then if once you are entering into the film, it starts itself with a series of long and medium shots of a set of half naked men playing kabaddi. The homosexual male group is further shown as viewed through the eyes of a gay man, Harris. Film gradually focuses Vishnu's body with a series of close-up shots through the camera lens of Harris. In turn, it captures the buttocks, nipples, and thighs, and eventually the whole muscular body of Vishnu. So, through such a cinematic representation, the film reconstructs the homosexual masculine act of playing kabaddi as generating homosexual desires. So, through such a cinematic, cinematic techniques, we are just learn to. I'm in taking Shohini Kaur's very famous argument here that we are not only learn to see the cure, but also we learn to see purely. So this techniques is one of the major aspect that distinguishes KA Bodyscapes. And one another thing is, beside the cinematic techniques, several signifiers are employed to reiterate the protest and existence of gay men in a predominantly heterosexual society like Kerala. Harris painting is one such recurring symbol. So here I am showing. Harris painting is one such recurring symbol. His painting represents anal sex or anal penetration, gay sex, and so on. So in a way, we argue the paintings in the film is employed as a narrative tool to bypass the censorship issues that may possibly arise through the definitive representation of gay sex within the film narrative. So moreover, besides representing the gay sex, moreover, there is a long sequence of female masturbation within the film, possibly first in the history of Malayalam cinema. So, by representing gay sex or female masturbation within the film narrative, the film underscores the agency of marginal groups like women or gay men. So the film is most importantly noted for placing the male body as the center of contest in a heteropatriarchal society like Kerala. So it reiterates that the male bodies outside of the hegemonic masculine structures are marginalized in the state. So in the film, homosexual male bodies unsettle patriarchal masculinity, and Harris and Vishnu face problems in their professional and personal lives. So they are marginalized. Though they are men, they are marginalized on account of their non-conformation with the compulsory heterosexuality. So one of the other most, along with a representation of male gay sexuality within the film, one of the other most significant aspect of the KA Bodyscapes is the the representation of the problems of other marginalized groups like women. In the film, there is a character called Sia. She is a character which does not go with the normal conventions of feminine. So because of that, Sia is facing problems in her professional and domestic spaces because of her non-conformity to the conventional feminist ethos. She is shown being part of the menstruation struggle in the film narrative when she it's part of her protest on when a forced stripping that happened in her factory. So in fact, the film is notable for representing a series of protests that occurred in Kerala. It's not only this menstruation struggle. There are series of other protests which is represented in the film, including the Nilpu Samaram, Standing Strike, Irippu Samaram, and so on. So in that way, the film constantly negotiate with the contemporary social movements. In fact, I was going through one of the interviews of the director where he was saying many of these protests happened in Kerala, had a significant influence on him for making a film like KA BODYSCAPES. So the film is also noted for the active representation of several, its active participation of several activists like Nalini Jamila or Kishore, gay activists like Kishore Kumar or Arundhati, Jay Deviga, and others. So, one another major aspect when we discuss with regard to KA BODYSCAPES is the intersection of religion and patriarchy within the film. So KA BODYSCAPES is noted for placing male homosexuality at the intersection of religion and patriarchy in Kerala. The film underscores that the religion and caste continues to provide channels for the patriarchal control on women and marginalized sexual communities like gay men. The film narrative presents several characters symbolic of these oppressive structures that thrive at the junctions of religion or caste. In fact, there is a character called Bhakta Valsalan, played by Ashwin Matthew. He is he's Vishnu's uncle. He runs a newspaper called Bharata Bhumi to propagate the Hindutva view of life. From the beginning itself, he objects Vishnu's relation with Harris, a Muslim painter. In fact, towards the end of the film, we can see him taking Vishnu to a quack to treat homosexuality. So, in fact, reiterating the popular misunderstanding that the homosexuality can be medically treated. So, in that way, the film could well bring in the intersectionality within the film narrative. One another significant aspect which I would like to draw your attention is the ending of the film. So the ending of the film shows the Harris paintings. Many of these paintings are set on fire by the religious fundamentalists, and from that side, the Vishnu is dragged by Bhakta Valsalan. So the end of the film, which is set in a seaside or a beach, you can say. So the end of the film shows Harris committing suicide on attack on his creative and personal lives. So he's shown committing suicide, by walking onto the sea. He's also shown, undressing in front of the religious fundamentalists that attacked him. So this is one of those ending scenes. You can see his protest very well in that. This is one of, you can see a painting with the Hanuman with an erected penis. This was also one of the most controversial scenes in the film. So the end of the film is very significant because the film ends portray the death of Harris' suicide. So here the suicide is used as a powerful political tool to unravel the problems of gay men in Kerala. The scene also employs the body as a means to protest against the religious heteropatriarchal structures that oppress gay sexuality in Kerala. In the film, Harris is marginalized because of his sexuality and religion. So this underscores that, when you take into account the gay men's lives in Kerala, the film also very well draw the fact that several factors have to be taken into account. In the case of Harris, he is oppressed because that he's a gay man, and also because he belongs to a marginalized community like a Muslim community. So now I'm concluding my discussion on a general note on KA BODYSCAPES. Then I think we can go into a serious discussion on this, much more serious discussion on the film. So the film KA BODYSCAPES has made a notable intervention in the history of Malayalam cinema by enhancing the visualization and politicizing the gay masculinity that continues to be marginalized in Kerala. Presented against the backdrop of contemporary social movements, the film foregrounds the persisting problems of gay men at the intersection of religion and heteropatriarchy. So the film, I could say the film is notable in the history of Malayalam cinema for an effective representation of gay sexuality. Not only that, the film, by bringing in series of contemporary social movements, it could also very well draw, very well communicate with the contemporary political sphere of Kerala. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sooraj, for placing the film in the specific context of Kerala society as well as Kerala, as well as Malayalam cinema. For those of us not familiar with this context, it has been a very illuminating initiation to the discussion. It is now open for discussion. Jayan, would you like to respond to Sooraj's presentation, or should I open it up for discussion first?
Thank you, Geeta. Thank you, Sooraj, and thank you all, Nikhila, and everyone invite me for this discussion. And first, the discussion must go on, and then I will, if needed, I will.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Jayan. Yeah. So, okay, maybe I will begin. I thought of course, Sooraj has already spoken about the character of Harris as a photographer. I also found that to be a very clever narrative device that the filmmaker has used, because the kind of perspective it gives to the overall representation of the male body is something that we as the viewers are seeing through the photographer's lens. So in a way, the photographer is like, he's taking the place of the filmmaker and the filmmaker's ways of representing the male body. So I thought that was a very clever device. And the character of Sia is an extremely intriguing and really fascinating character. First of all, the choice of her name, because Sia is also, it's another name for Sita. And Sita has often been, represented as the ideal, Indian, quote unquote, Indian womanhood and things like that. So here you have a character bearing the name of Sita, who is, anything but the ideal image of womanhood. And but I thought the end of the film does not really, I thought the character of Sia was kind of just abandoned along the way. That remained for me at least a loose end that was not tied up. And it is fortunate that we have the filmmaker with us, so probably he would be able to tell us why he chose to leave it like that. And the end of the film, that is Harris's suicide, reminding me of Virginia Woolf's suicide, just walking into the sea. That was, almost a dystopian view of homosexuality in India. So these are some of the things I wanted to say about the film. Thank you very much, Sooraj, for your presentation. If anyone else would like to come in at this point with their questions or comments, please go ahead.
Should I come in?
Yes, please, Rajan, come in.
I found that it was a very bold film, and it's not really homosexual only, but it's talking about female sexuality, transsexualism, and all sorts of issues that are very important for India today, right? But I also think that what was shown in the film is not limited to Kerala alone when people interfere with the personal lives of people, right? You have the landlord coming in and interfering with the Harris, right? And that's something that is important because this is a kind of dominant mode of domineering and being a parent to everybody that we find not only in Kerala, but we find in all parts of India also, where people think that it's a business to get involved in people's personal lives, right? So that's something that stands out in the film, and it's not about Kerala only, it's about India, right? So I think that's something that we must think about ourselves, right? Yeah, and of course, what Geeta mentioned, Virginia Woolf, there is another Victorian poet called John Davidson who writes a nice poem called The Runnable Stag, right? And he is talking about that, and he's talking about the stag which goes out into the seventh sea and dies over there, not to be caught dead or alive, the runnable stag, right? I remember those lines, and I think that's very important because the protest doesn't end over there, right? Yeah, in a mask of protest, Harris takes off his clothes, right? And Sooraj, I would like to know how this you have come to know of the idea that Harris is a Muslim, right? Yeah, I think you mentioned that, or maybe I got it wrong, right? But I think it would be a kind of a name that is not an important, not a very typical kind of name, and it might belong to the Anglo-Indian community, and it might belong to another kind of marginal community, or a name that is taken for the sake of not showing who I am, right? So that's something else that is important over here, right? And I think that when we talk about the film, the whole idea of female masturbation, siyah, and all those kind of things, right? Which is very, very bold. I think in Western cinema, maybe it's Hamlet, Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet, which is important over there, right? But over here, it shows a different kind of exploration of the human body and the idea of the body also, right? Yeah. So and of course, I would like to know about this scene in the beginning when they're playing kabaddi, and there's this question of almost homosexual assault, right? And the idea that it's not an issue at all in India because it happens to all kinds of people all the time, right? So that's the first kabaddi scene, right? And that also would actually be a homosexual assault, right? I think I should stop. I talk too much.
Thank you, Rajan. Sooraj, would you like to respond to the comments so far?
Thank you, Rajan, for the comments. In fact, that is one of the both Geeta and Rajan have given some wonderful insights into the film. As you were right, it's just not male homosexuality that has been represented in the film. So that is, it's really important for my research because we have that focus in our mind. So in fact, it is not just stopping there. There is, it has a lot of feminist politics, feminist. It has constant interaction with the feminist politics of Kerala, especially through representing series of protests that have happened in Kerala. So in that way, it is very significant because it makes a constant interaction with the contemporary. Thank you for pointing out. I mean, Harris. Maybe I have overlooked it. I've read somewhere that it is he's a Muslim painter. Maybe the director might can comment on it well. I would also check it up. As far may have I read it somewhere, and as far as seeing by seeing the film, there are no definite representations stating that he is a Muslim. But still, through different means that I have, came to a conclusion or came to an understanding that he is from a marginalized community, need not be a Muslim. So, thank you for pointing this out. That's all. I think somehow that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Sooraj. Any more questions, comments?
I had one question actually.
Yes.
Can I ask?
Yes, Subransh. Yeah, please, Subransh, you go ahead.
Yeah, so this was such an amazing discussion by Sooraj sir. And I had just one question for the filmmaker. We are introduced about the city of the movie by the number plate of the scooty that is displayed to a scale 11. And if I'm not wrong, that's Kozhikode. So I have to ask him, does the entire plot structure and the storyline of the movie have any historical or mythological relation with that particular city, or is it like the Malayalam cinema as a whole? So if you can just speak about it, that will be good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Jayan, would you like to respond to that?
I'm not sure I heard that question well. I think you asked about Calicut and what is the relevance of the Calicut or the location.
Yeah, that's what
Yes,
I
yes.
think he meant. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is also that Suraj mentioned that the religious location of Haris kind of a common name in Calicut or a common name in especially northern Kerala among very popular among Muslims, but there is Christians also having the same name. It's kind of I just let it go ambiguous because this character is kind of very iconoclastic character and who reject the religion and going against what the traditional notions of being faithful in such a community. And the Calicut, of course, is short in Calicut. It is captured major landmarks of Calicut and the landscape, the topography of the Calicut as actually the part of film. And the film have kind of three body. One is the suburban Calicut is as a old cosmopolitan city. It has kind of ancient history. It has interacted with the colonial time, pre-colonial time too. It has interaction with the world. And it has kind of as Kochi. Calicut is the other Kochi. That is, it has kind of a very significance in the film. And also, there are several moral policing happened just before the film shot. I mean, while I was writing about the film. So one of the incidents inspired me. One of the incidents inspired me is happened in the suburbs of Calicut. It's a Gulf, a youth came back from Gulf and he visited one of his girlfriend or his friend's friend to one of the houses, and local people grab him and really kill him by beat him up and kill him. That's the first martyr of moral policing in Kerala that's happened there. And also the Calicut is kind of city is not only there is a center of struggles too, like Samaram is happening in Trivandrum in front of the secretariat, and at the same time here there is a Mutra Samaram, there is a another kind of Irippu Samaram. If the girls who is working in the textile shops start to have they don't have that convenience, and there is also there was a huge struggle was happening at that time, and several things, and kiss in the street protest was happened there, and at that time the film is come out. The Kerala youth start to use their body as a tool of resistance, and they bring this lot of fundamental issues about human dignity and the personal rights in the streets at that time. And the queer politics also being discussed, and these all things, gender politics, and you know that the bloody napkin movement, and people start to, even in Punjab at that time, Nigida Assad and all these people start to have this bloody napkin movement. In Kerala also, Sia, the character role played by one of the activists herself, she started the Sabarimala bloody napkin movement. And actually that is, she was in a bus, there is some devotees, Ayyappa devotees there, and the people let him go out of the bus. The devotees let her go out of the bus, kick her out of the bus because they doubt her she is a menstruating woman or something. And also there is a the factory was a group of girls, women working in the factory, being checked by the supervisor for who is menstruating. And it was at the time it was kind of actually, and these several incidents inspired me to write that film. And also in Calicut, the topography and the city of the Calicut is also part of the body of, and suburbs of Calicut also the body of the film. There is two three Thinais. One is that agrarian suburban town, village of Vishnu, then claustrophobic space of Harry's apartment, and it has kind of an urban, and then you see the ocean and the meeting place of the several cultures and the historical Pudiyappa Kadapuram, the Pudiyappa beach. And these three spaces are there, and these spaces are also integral part of the film body. I think I answered the question right. I'm sorry it is take a long.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Jayan. Thank you very
sir.
much. Any more questions, comments?
Geeta, if I may.
Yes, yeah, please, Nikhila, go ahead.
Just to, I mean, I found the film fascinating, and as you all said, it's a bold and a film. I think that it takes up so many issues. I mean, we had watched and discussed Papilio Buddha. I think, Jayan, you have the pulse of the young people, the discourses that they are exposed to, the struggles that many of them are a part of, both in Papilio Buddha and this. In that sense, I thought them very, very contemporary and just so in with the times, particularly with regard to the issues that young people are grappling with. The second point I wanted to make again was about Sia, extremely intriguing character. Also, such an anger in her. I mean, you can literally, feel the anger in every frame, and there is nothing to soften her. So I thought that was extremely well done, to have a character sustain her anger against patriarchy, against so many wrongs that are done to her. So there's nothing to really soften, soften her. And also, as Geeta said, with regard to what happens to her in the end, it seemed like I mean, her story is inconclusive. We don't really know what happens to her, but probably it's only Harris uh, whose character arc ends in the way it does. Maybe this open-endedness, this kind of coming together of different marginalized groups, as Suraj was saying, transgenders, and there also seem to be some undercurrent of a lesbian relationship between Sia and the girl in her workplace. So a kind of something that is binding them, binding these marginalized characters. I thought that also came out very well in the film. So overall, Suraj, thanks very much for suggesting the film and for an extremely wonderful overview of the issues that the film raises. And thanks, Jayan, once again for coming back on to TFO, and also giving us, making available the link. I think there was some problem with the link, so you helped us watch the full film. Thank you so much. Yeah, over to you, Geeta.
Thank you so much, Nikhila. Yeah, just to add to what Nikhila was saying, there was one particular scene, when I found really very interesting and very beautifully shot, very beautifully conceived as well, the whole composition. When Sia leaves home, or rather, she's thrown out of her home, and then she comes to Harris's place, and all three of them, Vishnu, Sia in the center, and Harris on the other side, they spend the night there. So what was interesting about that particular scene for me was, on the one hand, amongst the marginalized, Sia is still, the more marginalized one, because she looks like in need of protection of these two men who kind of, flank her on either side as if to, protect her. And at the same time, it is a scene that goes beyond sexuality, and it seems to forge a kind of solidarity as well as compassion and friendship amongst these three persons. So I thought that was a very moving scene, and also done very beautifully, composed very beautifully. Any other questions, comments?
Hi.
Yeah, please,
Yeah.
Kavya, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would like to know, like, what would Jayan Cherian want to comment on the method of the narrative device of using the paintings of Harris to visualize gay sexuality on screen. Actually, me and Sooraj, we took this film for study. The first thing which attracted us was this is the first of its kind of film which we have seen in Malayalam, which captures male body erotically on screen, very aesthetically. So, and we also felt that this medium of the paintings was very effective in depicting that. So, if he can elaborate on the choice of making the character of Harris an artist, it will be helpful.
Yeah, thank you. I will answer that. Before that, Geeta and Nikhila and all mentioned this. What is the ending story of Sia being shown that film like that as loose-ended? Of course, it is loose-ended. To be frank, I will tell you a secret. When I wrote the film, there is a scene, ending scene in Sia, which is kind of she's after a kick out of fire from the job, and she and her girlfriend together looking for jobs and job wanted columns, and they're getting into the Bangalore bus and going. So escaping from Calicut. And that scene also, I will follow her further down in generally in Indian cinema, have that kind of pattern, so it's following a character and complete it. Actually, these all characters like in a bus, they are in a bus ride. So at some point, characters come into Harry's life and getting off. And Sia also came and getting off. That logic lead to avoid that further scenes and explanations. And life always not the people we are meeting, and life is not really completing as an arc every character we are meeting. And as final cut, that scenes is gone. And it has its kind of editorial decision. And of course, I made it at that time. It has its own logic. And very important question that Kavya raised. And also I'm saying that it is whether it is a choice of the CS character ending that way is right or wrong. I don't know. That's a decision as an artist for at that time that I took. And further down, this very important issue that about the painter and the painting. At the time, you can see that actually there was an incident happened. The painting, gay paintings are attacked by moral police. And also there is a gallery. I created the downtown gallery in the film. There was a downtown cafe was attacked just before that in 2013, I think, 2014, at the beginning of 2013 or end of 2013. 2014, I am writing this. Yeah, it is on 2014 beginning, I think. And also there's several reasons. But in the film, it's very, very important as a iconoclastic gay painter, an activist gay painter, Harris tracing the genealogy of homoerotic narrative in the world. The film, as you notice, the gallery actually inside the apartment of Harris, you can see several homoerotic paintings. It is a replica. Most of them are the replica of Roland Caillou's lithographs on Genet's poem. And there is two portraits in the room. One is Genet. The other one is Roland Caillou. Caillou was a famous, as you all know, that he's one of the famous painter and lithographer and actor and director, and also a very close friend of Genet. In 1940s, one of the illustrative book about 100 pages published by Roland Caillou. It was banned in France. His name was The 5 Love Poems I Have Read by Poems by Genet. So just the title of that the painting collection. It was lithographs and the works of illustration and a collage book that was banned at the time. Also, Jayan was in jail. That's a historic event, and also Sartre and all these people. Sartre there is a campaign, worldwide signature campaign happening to release Jayan. And Sartre wrote Saint Jayan at the time, the part of the that movement. Like we had a movement here, Free Binaikson movement, the same as in 1940s, 1930s, late 30s, 1940s. There was a huge intellectual movement in the world, and also the homoerotic paint. There is a tradition of gay painting, and Justice Harris, as a gay painter, connecting to that genealogy through his work. And there is original paintings of him. At the same time, replica of most of the works by, there is some of other works done by Jean Cocteau. There is another painter at that time lived in France, and he is illustrated too. They all work on Janet's work. And Janet was notoriously gay that time. And he was jailed because of his sexuality. And he became a gay icon, a gay activist icon later in the history of the gay movement in the world. You can see that. That's repeatedly coming through in decade by decade later. Until the Stonewall, you can see the main breakthrough was happened. In Kerala also, not in Kerala, in India, you can see that the gay movement and the gay liberation movement was still in this infant stage. I believe that still there is no same-sex marriage allowed here. And also, as rightly Suresh pointed out, there is female same-sex love is kind of accepted the visibility of it because it is a supplementary. I think it is one of this as a supplementary pleasure for males heterosexuality. That is, this as a porno material also. It is very popular among hetero men. But two men holding hands or kissing in public, which will emasculate the people who celebrate heteronormative or heterocentric male world. Still, it is a reality. That's why still gay men are invisible in public. Their expressions are invisible. And eroticize the male body is still a threat, a heteronormative male world. I lost the train of thought. What else I supposed to tell you? So why the Kavya remind me, I was trying to say that so painting is kind of very important in this narrative. Harris became is not an accident, it's a deliberate choice. And also the film is about basically an artist's struggle to express himself or herself. And it's also a question of free expression. And we know that the history of the censorship fight on the film is kind of the character of the film, central character of the film, the plight of the filmmaker became same as the central character of the film. It is a traumatic event and the journey of the legal journey going back and through, and moral policing and abuse in the social media. So, and also the system really crushed me for a long time. I didn't do a film after just a film I started in 2016 after KA BODYSCAPES. Still I am working on. Now I am just completed the shooting and I'm working in post-production. It's totally distracted me and shattered me as an artist in some level. That is what the state and the society do to an artist who is trying to express freely and who believe in absolute freedom of expression. Right now, it is very dangerous to do anything in that climate we are living in. And what buttons we should push, what words we as an artist we should pronounce or portray or express is we have to be very careful. Still, the situation is there. And I'm sorry, I lose connections, but I tried to answer the questions in different level.
Yeah, surely, Jayan, you've done justice to the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Madhurima, would you like to say something?
So I really enjoyed watching the film. Thank you for recommending the film to us. I was also thinking of your comment that you said regarding the scene where Sia is, the three are sleeping together. So I like the fact when the space of home becomes unsafe for her, how the friendship becomes quite safe to Sia and also to the homosexual men. Yeah, so thank you.
I think there's a question from Shubhranshu in the chat box, and he wants the name of that is Jean Genet, and the book that you prefer. Yeah, Jayan, the book.
Yeah, I will. You can Google Roland Caillou, but Roland Caillou's spelling is kind of little funny, and so I will really write that on in the chat box. Roland is kind of a very huge figure in homoerotic paintings and lithographs at the time, and also he made a short film with Genet. There's English. Actually, the name is the Love Song or something. It's a story of jailbreak to the homosexual. Some men in a small jail try to break out in order to have sex each other. They are just trying to break the wall between them. That was kind of very interesting film in the history of the gay film itself.
Yeah.
Caillou spelling, Roland and Caillou spelling is C-A-I-L-L-A-U-X. Actually, they pronounce it, French pronunciation is kind of somewhat like Caillou, or they use some other tongue.
Yeah, we have a professor of French here, so probably he could give us the right pronunciation. Sanjay, can you?
Yeah, I have already written here in the chat box.
Right. Yeah. Jean Genet, of course. Yeah, and Caillou. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Malu's called is Jean Genet sometimes.
Jean Genet, yes. Jean Genet.
Yeah.
Genet, and also there is another person also involved with Genet's work at that time is Jean Cocteau.
Yes.
He was a playwright.
Yes.
Also, the combination there, and actually that is initiated homoerotic painting as a genre around the world, and also and actually that it is kind of Caillou's work is kind of very important in any the history of gay painting, in homoerotic painting, especially in the world. And Caillou's all the works are based on Genet's poems and novels and texts. So that was the connection.
Yeah.
And also that.
Yeah, Sanjay, would you like? Would you like to come in at this point, Sanjay?
Yeah, yes, Geeta.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. First point is about my expectation when I was just watching this film and the first sequence came of Kabaddi. I was thinking about, it normally happens that the kind of what we call confrontational sports like football, Kabaddi, rugby, and all other games, sports where people, they touch their body. They have to touch. And these sports are supposed to be a little aggressive, and people normally, because they are supposed to be male typical games where there is verbal aggression also. We have seen all that in the football field, and so I thought this character would be representing typical, an epitome of homogenic, what you call hegemonic masculinity. A macho man who would be very aggressive, very violent, and angry, the kind of characters we have seen in Bollywood. So which will be representing the kind of masculinity which is called toxic masculinity or hegemonic masculinity, but that doesn't happen. So I was wondering what was the point of using this Kabaddi in the first scene. Probably it is, I think, related to homoeroticism, because people touch the body of each other. And there is also in one scene when someone is grabbing the sexual organ of one person. So I think that was the kind of beginning, because after that we see the painting and we understand that it is related to homoeroticism rather than the making of a macho man. That how a macho man is made in a football field or in a kabaddi, like where you have to show some physical power, aggression, violence. But anyway, that's what I understood. Secondly, what I liked in this film was the connection between these two narratives, the narrative of Sia and that of Harris Vishnu. So because the one represents misogyny, we can see through the story of Sia that how in this kind of male social order, patriarchal order, she is oppressed. So she, through this character, we can see the misogyny. On the other hand, we also see homophobia through the characters of Harris and Vishnu. And these two, misogyny and homophobia, they are related, because both of them are the product of this kind of hegemonic masculinity. And they, both of them, they are threatening for the social order, because the typical, the order is that, male-female differentiation, that male has to be like this, dominant, aggressive, or active, and female passive. And then, and the second is the supremacy of the male over the female. These two things, these two principles are actually endangered, disturbed by homosexuality. And because of that, heteronormative social order is afraid of homosexuality. That is what we also see in this film. On the other hand, misogyny also is the manifestation of this male domination, which tries to show the supremacy of male over the female. So both misogyny and on the one hand, and homophobia, they are the product of this kind of a male social order, which is very heteronormative and is scared of any kind of alternative sexuality. I liked that these two things are related. These two narratives, they intersect, and then Sia, like, she meets Haris and Vishnu, they are friends. So that's a very good narrative, and it's a very good way to represent these two things: misogyny on the one hand and homophobia on the other. So thank you very much for this.
Thank you, Sanjay. There's just one
Can I add
point.
something?
Yeah, sure, Sooraj. Please go ahead.
I think what Sanjay said just now, that's just a comment. There is a mix. There is definitely an intersection between the homophobia and the so-called misogyny. But on the other hand, if you see compare, there is a subversion of the so-called the way they represent the Haris and Vishnu. As Sanjay was showing that Haris, sorry, though Vishnu he has a very muscular body, he is engaging in an act, a very masculine act of playing kabaddi. But still, he is shown as a very meek, meek character in comparison, maybe in comparison to a character like Haris. So in that way, there is a subversion of the representation of the characterization between Haris and Vishnu. I'm not very sure whether it is correct or not. I may be wrong, because throughout there is a subtle difference between Haris and Vishnu in the way they represent. Maybe Director Jayan can comment on this.
Yeah. That's a good question, Suraj, and actually that is kind of very important. Vishnu is a masculine man and macho man, but a soft person, and have some innate slowness in him too. And so-called fiercely masculinized figures in our society, I want to reverse that too. Haris is really kind of have even a little feminine body, but at the same time, very aggressive, go-getting person. Is typical the macho-ness of associated with usually with the masculinity. Just to want to play with that stereotypes and just to go against it. That's sad, and I don't want to overdo it also. And I was working with my actors, and really, actually, this came out, play out very nicely. I think that's by the response of the other audience I am getting, just reversing the stereotype, and also the so-called the aggressor and the receiver, that kind of thing, and also bottom, which is the same, that kind of stereotype in the gay world itself, in the sexual, in terms of the gay sexuality, in the sexual act itself, the masculine man is always the penetrator, and the emasculized or feminine qualities of the man, who have the feminine qualities being penetrated. That kind of thing is kind of a century-old stereotype in the gay world, especially especially the world of when we are referring to same-sex relationship or same-sex sexual act. And just trying to play with that typical stereotype. When we have that kind of clubs around, even New York, if you go to the downtown Greenwich Village, the Christopher Street, if you walk down to the arts, and you can see the different various varieties of the bars around. Some varieties look for chubby hoppers or chubby chasers, and some were only masculine men only admitted, and some go after skinny. That kind of even that categorization is in that world too. It's also based on stereotypes. And actually, the sexuality and pleasure, the people, the relationships every relationship is customized, and that intimate level, which is happening in a peculiar way. Every relationship is different, whether it is heterosexual, homosexual, or any kind of act. So this stereotyping will kill all these diverse nuances within. So I was trying to play with that element. I don't know how successful they are, but somewhat is people getting it. That's why I'm from the response I'm getting, I think there is somewhere touching that area.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a very effective strategy to, reverse this kind of stereotypes, and it did certainly come across very effectively in the film. And any more? Yes, Sanjay, please go ahead.
I agree with that, actually, what the director was saying, and the Sooraj also, because I noticed that normally we see a very stereotyped representation of the gay. Then when you see that, you have to show homosexuality through an effeminate body, very submissive, through also some mannerisms, gestures, also kind of voice, which will be different, so that you can point out, look, here is a homosexual, like that. That kind of stereotype you try to avoid, which is very good, because we have seen in so many films this kind of stereotype, that one has to be submissive, and who is dominant and who is dominated. Okay, anyway, so here initially we think that this person who is playing kabaddi will be probably more dominant. That's our going by the stereotypes. That's our expectation. But that expectation is belied, which is an improvement, I would say, that upon earlier representations of the homosexuals.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. Any more questions, comments?
Can I ask something?
Yes, please, Sooraj, go ahead.
This is a question to the director, Jayan.
Sure.
So as I can see, there is an image of sea throat being used in the film. There are several images. Even the ending of the film, it is set in a sea coast. So I can see a sea comes more often as an image within the film. Is there any specific reason that you chose the sea, as a symbol throughout the movie?
Yes, there is 3 spaces. One is kind of apparently naive village, which is very rural agrarian village, where a group of people having kabaddi. Apparently, it could be a training ground for militants. Religious fundamentalism also coming from this kind of shakas. And it is a typical shaka in a way. But the beauty of this innocent village, also that element also there. And that is a rural arena. And then the claustrophobic city, the apartment, and then more broad and beach, which there is an openness. There is an element of liberation there. The choice of Harry's death refused to die with the hands of this moral police people who come and try to get rid of him. Even Harris choose his own way. You can explain that in various levels, and people understand that scene in various levels. And also there is ocean, which the beach, which a symbol of reception, and also a broadness and a way to escape. And there is element of liberty there too. All the cultures, all the Kerala itself created by this, the ports and beaches. And Kerala populated and bred by the ships historically anchored in these ports, Calicut and Muziris, and even whatever ports are still extant or non-existent in the history. So this confluence of the cultures and very receptive space is the beach. At the same time, is also a treacherous place. The Pudiyappa Kadapuram we shot, and there is 1 mile down, it is Marad, and where a vicious riot was happened. And also one of the vicious religious community riot was happened few years back. Some of you guys are very too young to remember Marad riot. And this life, and it has its kind of relevance in the film, this 3 space. At the same time, some beauty and some liberative element, and also there is kind of very reactionary, suppressive element in all spaces. And these spaces are divided in a way, the beginning of the film from the village and come to the city, and just to go to the openness of the beach. And the total chaos is there too. That's a very
Thank you, Jayan. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I would like to say that the grandmother of Sia was a very, very interesting kind of representation and a very interesting kind of character, right? Because it's talking about a Muslim kind of background, and the idea of, at one level, she is very judgmental about the little girl, and at the same time, she's very soft to her also, right? So that's very interesting as a representation. And what is interesting is also that you brought out the aspect of Hindutva in Kerala, which most of the people outside Kerala may not be thinking of, right? And the contradiction over there, where you have this uncle of Vishnu who is Golwalkar. He's got this Golwalkar picture over there, which is something that dominates the movie also. You have Gandhi, Golwalkar, and you also have Hanuman, right? These are 3 important kinds of 3 important points that the film goes around, right? So that's a kind of contradiction, because we know that Savarkar and Godse had a homosexual affair, which is not talked about very much, right? And at the same time, he takes him to the psychiatrist at the end of the movie, right? So that's also very important and very interesting, right? Yeah, so I thought that was a very kind of interesting representation. And Sia sleeping between these 2 gay men, that picture is also very interesting, because and of course the irony that they're thrown out of the house because a woman is staying there, and it's supposed to be morally taboo to have a man and woman staying together, right? But actually it's nothing of that sort. Maybe she feels safe because they're gay men, right? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Rajan. Any other questions, comments?
I had one question while watching watching the film, it is that the image of Lord Hanuman comes a number of times. So is there any relationship of Hanuman with the homosexuality or gay homosexuality?
Yeah, there's actually that several people ask. There's some major controversy they created around, and actually that Hanuman is the lord of wrestlers. The people brahmacharis have actually it is kind of an embodiment of misogyny too. They don't want even touched by women. And you've been seeing several Gusti firemen in villages who do the brahmacharya. And also the central character of the film is Vishnu. Vishnu is a Hanuman Bhakt and also have abstained from sexuality or sex or heterosex. You can see he's in very minimal interaction with the females in that way. And also, Vishnu is a homophobe. Internalized homophobia is terrorizing him, and that internal agony is there everywhere. And several gay friends I have, and also in the gay community also, we can see, especially gay male community, you can see the internalized homophobia work very deeply in them, and it affects the relationship. The self-hate and internalized racism is what us brown people we have taking each other. We can see this any kind of regressive, repressive kind of attitude towards the other. Is the victim start to internalize it. It has different various manifestations. And this Vishnu figure is kind of very interesting, complex character. We are trying to express the complexity of that character, and from outside probably it is kind of very simple. I don't know if we're successful or not. That was all right.
Yeah. Thank you, Jayan. Any more questions, comments?
I would think that Vishnu is also very gynophobic, because in many, I think at two parts of the scene where women come in, he doesn't make a comment and he just moves off, right? And I think those are very important notes to show that he probably doesn't gel well with women at all.
Mm-hmm. Any other? Okay, in that case, we will conclude this session. Thank you, Sooraj, for suggesting this film to us and for agreeing to open the discussion on the film. And thanks a lot to Jayan. Despite the time differences, you have found the time to attend this session. Thank you all very much for joining, and it has been a great discussion. Good night and have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks also to Madhurima